So talking possible prospects, Boston College held their pro day on Monday. Went to it. Great time. Awesome field house. They have beautiful facilities. All 32 teams in attendance. And Mike Vrabel, along with 10 Patriots staffers in attendance as well.
Okay.
Now, Mike Vrabel and Bill O'Brien, very close friends. So, of course, Mike Vrabel is going to show that support. The Boston College Eagles also have Donovan Ezeiruaku, where if he fell to them in a second, you would take him. That's the best available at that point. Say if they go tackle. And if they don't, and even if they do go left tackle, an Ozzy Trapilo, their offensive lineman, 6'8", 320, huge human, right tackle, started the last 2 years, would make sense. Or Drew Kendall, an interior offensive lineman, along with a bunch of other guys they had work out. It was important for the Patriots to be there. It was important for Mike Vrabel to be there. That's support for BC. And it's Vrabel wise too, like just took the job. Go see these guys up close. It's literally down the road with three.
Down the road.
Especially with Ezeiruaku and Trapilo and Cam Horsley as well. The 3-4 highly regarded prospects. Go do it. It was exciting to see, and you just can't overlook that BC has good prospects, and it's all in areas of need for the Patriots.
So who were some of those coaches there?
What I saw was Doug Marrone, of course, former BC offensive line coach, now Patriots offensive line coach. Eliot Wolf was there. Vinny DePalma, now a defensive assistant, played linebacker at Boston College, was there as well. Those were the guys I can eye and locate. And it's overall like 10 Patriots staffers. So it could have been strength and conditioning coaches. I believe their strength and conditioning coach was there. It could be front office or scouts, personnel people as well. So I don't have their entire, headshot repertoire like in the back of my head, but the guys that I noticed. Here was Bill O'Brien talking about Mike Vrabel visiting and speaking to his team the morning of their pro day as well.
Yeah, it's a special opportunity to have someone like Mike come in and speak to the team. We've had some great speakers over the last year. We've had Julian Edelman spoke to our team, Matt Ryan spoke to our team, and today Mike did. And he just gave his message of what it means to be a good teammate, what toughness is all about on the field, but also mental toughness off the field. How you carry yourself off the field. Being loyal to the program, being loyal to what the mission is. He covered all those things, and I really appreciate him doing it.
So that was Bill O'Brien talking about Mike Vrabel's message to the team and how important it is for them as leaders, as people, and then also showing up on their pro day too. Bill O'Brien even talking about his guys like Ozzy Trapilo and Drew Kendall. I asked him about that, what are you hearing from teams that they like about him, but also what are you pushing of like, these are why these are guys that should be drafted. Smart guys, high IQ, especially one with your offensive lineman, always available, always durable. And you think of a guy like an Ozzy Trapilo, he's in his career over 600 snaps at left tackle, 1,400 snaps at right tackle, been starting since he was a sophomore. Drew Kendall, 3-year starter at center. Those are two guys that the Patriots should be watching intently. They also have the flexibility. What I see in a Ozzy Trapilo, 6'8", 320, played both sides, only allowed 5 sacks as a left tackle as well. But he's a guy that was explosive, 177 10-yard shuttle, so that means he can get out and move, almost a 9-foot broad jump as well. If he's a guy that comes in, and we did it in our mock of this could be a guy that learns behind a Morgan Moses, could be that backup left tackle for someone like an Arante Ursary or maybe an Armand Membu or a Will Campbell or Calvin Banks. And then eventually he would be on that full-on starter. He could be that depth piece, swing tackle. He's played both sides. And I can't say enough, 6'8", 320, he has the frame, he has the strength, really good footwork as well to mirror edge rushers, high IQ, and a 3-year starter at Boston College who always had a good offensive line. Like that says a lot about Ozzy Trapilo.
Yeah, 24 starts his last 2 seasons, 12 in each in 2023 and 2024. So a lot of experience at BC, like you said. And I think if we were to rank the BC Eagles most likely to land with the Patriots, I think I would have Ozzy Trapilo as number one for me. And it's the need that the Patriots have. It's the connection. We've talked extensively about the Doug Marrone thing, and not that that's the only reason or anything, but when you get into that, probably a 4th round pick, so maybe maybe late day 2, early day 3. Those connections certainly help. So you bring him in, you draft him. He's, like you said, he starts at maybe a swing tackle. He's competing with Caden Wallace as the swing tackle. And eventually, maybe he beats out Caden Wallace and becomes, the long-term right guard behind Morgan Moses. So I just think it makes a lot of, and again, as we can plug this again, as we discussed on our mock draft, I think that Ozzy Trapilo makes a lot of sense for the Patriots, because of the need, because of the connection they have, but also he's a good player at a position that they need. And most likely he'll be lining up kind of where they're drafting, when it comes to, day 3 or, early day 3.
Yeah. And what I think is big, I agree with Trapilo. That could be a guy that rises up a lot. More testing he does, more interviews. Yeah. So I think in likelihood, I think it's stock that can make sense too. I think a Drew Kendall actually could be more likely to land with the Pats. Center, seen as athletic enough to become a guard, 6'4", 300, 3-year starter at center, 5 sacks allowed in 3 years of starting at Boston College. And his 4.51 in a shuttle, that shows how he can get out, move in the screen game, how he can get downhill, get to the second level and block. But I just also think the value of the position, where maybe the Patriots are hoping to get a Trapilo 4th round, right? Maybe 3rd or 4th. I can't imagine. I don't think he ends up falling beyond midway through the 5th, honestly, where Drew Kendall can be there, and that satisfies their need. Massive need they have at the center position. As someone, again, that can learn behind a Grant Bradbury, who they're not paying a ton of money. But those are the 2 guys that they're definitely going to eye. The one big one, Donovan Ezeiruaku. I mean, he's going to be a first rounder. During the season, he was a late first, more of early second round prospect. He was a top 40, basically. But how he's tested, he's ready as a pass rusher. And he's not the most athletic. And because he's not the most athletic, he's so technically sound, has so many counter moves, really strong at the point of attack. Watching him when he was going against Missouri, because he was facing their left tackle, Marcus Bryant, a ton. 5th-year starter, big guy, really good left tackle. And that's also the reason why Armand Membu was a right tackle, because Marcus Bryant was just a downright good left tackle. There were certain times he would get swallowed up against Marcus Bryant when pass rushing, but in the run game, Missouri was double teaming him a lot. He was meeting Marcus Bryant at the line of scrimmage, pushing him back. He's not a guy that at his size will necessarily set the edge, but he's smart when it comes to run defense to funnel the rushing game back inside where there's 10 more defenders, of course. And on that end too, just wins at the line of scrimmage. And I think that's a guy that can develop into a better run defender. And as he just gets stronger and quicker, then he can become a better pass rusher. It was cool to watch him. And that's why there's 32 teams there, because when you're Boston College and you have a first round edge rusher, you have a starting level offensive tackle, a starting level interior offensive lineman. That's why 32 teams are going to show up. And that's why the Patriots themselves are going to send 10 scouts as well.
Yeah. And to your point about Ezeiruaku, I mean, just, he wins with his length, right? What is it? 34-inch arms, can kind of get off the line, uses agility when it comes to getting off the line. So I think the question when it comes, from a Patriots specific perspective, it's just how would they land him? They probably can't, right? I mean, there's no way they're taking him at 4, and he's probably not going to be there at 38. No. And if they grab Abdul Carter at 4, then they're not going to take him at 38 anyway, because they need to address another need. So I think it's difficult to imagine that he does, land with the Patriots. I guess maybe the only chance is if they go left tackle, if they go Will Campbell, if they go Armand Membu at 4 after Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter off the board, and then Ezeiruaku is still there at 38. Maybe that's the best chance for them to get him. But I do think I think it's difficult to imagine him being staying in New England. But with that said, I do think we could kind of see this. I think Bill O'Brien might even said it. We can kind of see BC turning into a little bit of a feeder program for the Patriots. It's just the connection with O'Brien and Vrabel, 2 guys just getting, starts at their respective helms of their coaching. You could their connection makes a lot of sense. So maybe it's not the best, it's not an SEC program or anything like that. But when it comes to these guys in the trenches, Ozzy Trapilo and Drew Kendall, like you said, I mean, I think those guys do make sense, and chances are we'll probably see that again in the future as well.
I could just imagine a team like the Lions would take a Donovan Ezeiruaku in the first. The Commanders need help on the pass rush. Even the Eagles, in a way, I could see them going more like Nicky Manwari if that safety falls that far, because he's just a freak. The Browns, I just don't see, and to your point, where that's a top 22, top 30 pick in Donovan Ezeiruaku. Really good player, pro ready from day one, will be a starter. but it's with the needs and where they're picking won't happen. But that is more importantly, the guys that they have in Boston College. It's a good program. Bill O'Brien's leading that program. They're going to get more NFL players. Again, in the NIL era, they're going to get more NFL level guys. And Bill O'Brien was asked about it. And he certainly said, he's like, I use my NFL experience to help bring in recruits all the time. Here was Bill O'Brien himself talking about Donovan Ezeiruaku as well.
Yeah, look, Donovan, first of all, is just a very bright guy, great teammate, unanimous captain. The whole team voted for him to be the captain of the team, one of the captains of the team. He's got an excellent takeoff at the end of the line of scrimmage. He really did a great job of developing his pass rush skills this past year. Actually, Coach Marone, O-line coach of the Patriots now, he worked a lot with Donovan this past year, on a week-to-week basis for a pass rush play in the games. And Donovan really, did a great job of putting that plan into action. He just did an unbelievable job. He never quit, never gave up. He actually probably, I would say, he actually won us a couple games single-handedly by, sacking the quarterback and creating turnovers and things. So can't say enough great things about Donovan.
Donovan Ezeiruaku, we've had him on the show. Awesome dude to interview. And that's where he did himself all the favors with the tape. Really good pass rusher. What I did like that he pointed out was with Doug Marone being with BC last season, Doug Marone as the offensive line coach helped Donovan Ezeiruaku develop as a pass rusher too, was working with him of, hey, this is what you can do. This will help you at the next level. That's encouraging to hear that Doug Marone is doing that. And again, the same thing where this pass rush, especially on the edge, has to get better for the Patriots. It's not just you have Terrell Williams coaching that defense as a DC. You have Doug Marone coaching that offensive line and helping develop a guy like a Keon White that needs that poured into him and whoever they end up drafting on the edge.
Yeah, I thought, and I was going to mention the same point. I thought that was pretty interesting to hear. I didn't hear it just now, but yeah, it says a lot about kind of Doug Marone's role both last year, but as well, probably going forward with the Patriots. And I'm sure that was something that Bill O'Brien told Mike Vrabel, before Vrabel hired Doug Marone is, he worked with these guys, and, just to have that sort of kind of, the offensive minded guy helping out a defender, and that was something that Vrabel did himself in Cleveland last year. So I think that that's definitely helpful for the Patriots.
Yeah, that's what I think is huge. And it just made sense, too. Being at that pro day, Doug Marone going around talking to everyone, Mike Vrabel. And then you do remember, like, his son played at BC. So there's a connect, too. But it was you're out there. And also Cam Horsley. I mean, massive defensive tackle, really good run defender, strong. Again, same type of guy, needs to work on his pass rush ability. Over relies on the bull rush. You get him with the Terrell Davis. You get him around a Doug Marone who already knows him. That's how you can develop. And that's a guy later in the draft. They do have a need at defensive tackle too, especially to build out the depth. Yeah. A Cam Horsley, another guy at a Boston College that they can target. And it just shows when you get real coaches in there, like Doug Marone, how experienced he is. How experienced Mike Vrabel is, Terrell Davis, and you get them from programs being coached by like a Bill O'Brien, how much that helps everything out with the prospects coming out.
Yeah, and to your point about Horsley, I was just looking up his kind of draft profile, and it was Chad Reuter who described him as getting off with good initial violence. And it just made me think, initial violence, that screams Terrell Williams and Mike Vrabel to me. It was, one of the things that Williams, I think, said, what was it, last year when he was with the Lions? He said he wants his players to play with violence. So, maybe we see that as kind of a day 3 pairing, I guess, and something that makes sense for both of them.
Yeah, and that's a guy that can line up 1 tech, 3 tech, outside the guards, outside shoulder. So he'd be good. He'd be good in a 4-3 defense. Like Cam Horsley makes a ton of sense in a 4-3 defense, and that's what Terrell Davis is going to be running 4-2-5. But you get what I'm saying, 4 down defensive lineman.